All right. Hello, everybody. And we are back for the 24th Biweekly Reader, I want to say. So, sorry for this video coming out a little later in the week. I had meant to get it out on Wednesday, but and I don't know if some of you have noticed. It's the stupid freezing thing that my camera's been doing. I think I fixed it, so hopefully if this gets frozen, then, well, this video won't go up. But if this video doesn't get frozen, then yippee, I fixed the problem, and I think that I have. So that is the hope and the prayer, and we shall see. Because I know it's not a problem with my camera, I know it's a problem with my computer, and I think I tweaked a couple things, and it should be fine. Now, let me go ahead and jump into the books. So, first thing I read was A Drowned Kingdom, and I loved this. Just plain and simple. I loved it. I did struggle with the beginning, and I should also say that regardless, I struggle with the beginnings of series, I struggle with the beginnings of books. It doesn't matter where. I tend to have a hard time with the first 100 pages of any book. But once I get past like 100 pages, then it's like, okay, put it down and we are rolling. I can just breeze through a book. So, Drowned Kingdom, there's something so very fascinating done with this book. We're given a personality, a character for Othrun, who is our main character, and we are then he's taken in a very interesting direction with the end of part 1. I won't say anything about it, but so many fascinating things are done with the setup that's brought to our attention in the end of part 1. I loved it so much that that setup alone just told me, okay, this is the kind of story we're going in for, and let's go. Just so many interesting things were done with this book that I just adored. And I did write up a review on Goodreads, so I'll link that in the description. But I just loved specifically how religion was tackled in this book. It's asking where that line is, where the line between faith and fanaticism is. How can our faith and our religion blind us in a sense? I really like how it's very respectful of religion. It's not dogging on religion, mind you. I think it is genuinely asking these questions of, hey, where is faith? How can we follow faith and yet be respectful of people and other beliefs? Because, I mean, think about it. There are a lot of religions, especially the older ones, that are you follow my religion, any other belief is you go to hell. I mean, actually, I'm pretty sure almost all religions do that. And that's just how it is, and I think it's interesting. And, of course, Othrun's religion is no different. And it's fascinating to see how this idea and this ideology is tackled while Othrun is having to interact with and learn to respect these people who very much do not believe in what he believes. They believe in polytheistic pantheons, and he's very monotheistic. It's one god or no gods. And then you see other interesting ideologies, like that these other beliefs are simply different faces of our God. And I think that's very fascinating. I think it's so interesting, so well done, and I loved it so much. I love the ideas that are tackled in A Drowned Kingdom. Just 2 bits. It was so amazing. And yeah, that's about all I have to say, but oh my god, P.L. Stewart, fantastic writer. I need to I want to try and talk to him, like, on the channel at some point, because, man, what a great book. This was genuinely such an amazing ride, and I cannot wait to continue the series, because that's just how much I loved it. And oh, I honestly, when I finish this book, if there's any gripe, it would be, I'd say, the beginning and the ending. the ending, because it's too abrupt, and not abrupt. I said abrupt. It's not abrupt per se. I just kind of wish it ended at a more satisfying place. I don't know if there would have been a satisfying place, but I do kind of wish it were. I think it could have benefited from having ended a little earlier or a little later, but I understand why it ended where it did. And it makes me excited for the next book. Honestly, I almost just picked up the next book right away. But I had to go on a trip, so I was like, okay, I'll cut it out. Now, that's A Drowned Kingdom. And now I should also say, most of my reading over the past week kind of went haywire. It was mostly just manga and manhwa reading on my iPad, just being, ooh, okay, because I just couldn't read a novel for some reason. For no reason at all, I could not read a novel to save my life. Also, I was visiting family and just all these other things, so just reading novels kind of got pushed to the wayside. Now, what else did I read? And this is something I'm very glad to talk about again. That is Kubera One Last God. So, Kubera One Last God is a manhwa on Webtoon that I read last year back in May. And it is one of the best stories I have ever read. I am so annoyed I didn't put it in my top 10 stories because it's phenomenal. It is one of my favorites, or sorry, top 10 stories from last year because it is phenomenal. It is one of my top 10 stories. I just adore it to bits. And these ideas that it tackles, the notions of power, and the more powerful you are, the more power you have in a system, the more it inhibits your ability to empathize with others. Because how can you, as a creator god, sympathize with your own puny little creations that are literally the size of ants to you? Like, what can they do? I mean, they're pathetic. All you have to do is wave your hand and their entire universe goes to bits. How does someone like that have any empathy for you or anything that you love? Because they're God! How can they do that? And it creates such interesting dynamics. And there's one line that just sticks with me to this day. Okay, great. Well, my problem isn't solved. Well, I'm gonna stitch things together. Alright, hopefully it wasn't frozen for too long, because I'm gonna start talking about Kubera again. I'm hoping that I did just do something, so hopefully that fixes it. We'll see. The problem is, the freezing camera situation doesn't get fixed until 8 minutes. Like, it doesn't freeze until after 8 minutes or so. So I can't tell unless I practice it. Anyways, Kubera, just, it has so many fascinating and brilliant ideas that it tackles, and I cannot get enough of it. And there's this one line that is, every life is kind of like its own universe. And it's something that resonates with me, and I still think about to this day. And that's why I was so excited for the new arc that was coming out. And it was coming out over, of course, it was a 30-chapter arc, and that is Someone's Universe. It takes that idea, that concept of every life being a universe, and our universes revolve around something, someone, an idea, a concept, a person. But our universes need something to revolve around. And that's something that's so special, that idea. And I love it so much. And I don't have the words to describe how much I love it. And then, of course, this new arc was just phenomenal. Having some of the best scenes in the entire series. I mean, and then there's a line that is, and of course, I'm not going to spoil anything, so don't worry about that. That is, you can be anything, but you cannot be everything. Now you must choose. It's so good that these ideas, these premises, just all coming together in one brilliant climax for the majority of the series. We've been having these things built up to since the very beginning of the series. Like, it's so fantastic, and I'm so happy to see some of these payoffs because I'm enjoying it so much. And it is easily one of my favorite stories of all time, top 5 at minimum. I just have to go over it, and it's just so amazing. So if you haven't read Kubera and you are willing to read something that's exclusively digital and manhwa, do it. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It is one of my favorite stories of all time. Now, putting that on pause, what am I currently reading? First thing I'm reading is Silver Crystal. I'm almost done with this one. I have about 90-ish pages left. I'm trying to get through it by the end of the week because I am enjoying this. I do have a couple gripes here and there, and that is, I think one of the side characters annoys me to high heaven. Jesus, he annoys me. He bothers me so much. But I do think that shows that this character has room for growth. So depending on where he goes in the next 90 chapters, if we're like starting to take him in a direction where he's starting to learn and grow as a person, then I'll drop all those that's not even a critique anymore. That's what I was led to do, and I was meant to do it. And kudos to you, Ryan Lands. That was well done. And hey, it doesn't even really have to be in this book. It could be in the second book. I can be a little lenient on that one. But I do very much want to see a little bit of growth with this character because he's bothering me he's driving me nuts. But then there's the main character who we follow, Rail. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation. But I really like what's being done with him. I think I've seen something like it before, but I do think it is interesting. And I find it to be very, very fascinating because I think I have seen something like what's being done, and I'm not going to tell you what happens because it's a pretty big spoiler. It doesn't happen until about halfway into the book. But I feel like in most cases, this scenario gets shrugged off by the characters. Here, I think it's very interesting. It's being very built up. And I really want to see what's going to happen when all these different factions collide and we get to see what the consequences of Rail's actions. We get to see the consequences of all these different actions that he's done throughout the course of his life and see what he's going for. I think it's very interesting, and I would very much like to see where it all goes in this book. So I'm very, very excited. I am enjoying this book. I did have to put it down for a while because I got dropped into a reading slump pretty much as soon as I began it. But I'm enjoying it so much right now that it's worth it. And that's about all I have for the Silver Crystal at the moment. Because, of course, I am still reading it. So now, for the other one, Mercy, Ill is the Fate by my friend, Chance Dillon, who, by the way, actually, I'll talk about both of them right now. Ryan Lands has agreed to come on at some point. We haven't decided a date yet, but he will be coming on for an interview at some point. And I'm very excited to talk to him. Very, very glad. And, by the way, I would like to say, go check out his profile. He's launching book 5 of this series, I believe, on March 24th next week. So keep an eye out for that. March 24th, March 25th. I hope I was supposed to say that. I hope that I wasn't saying that too early, but I'm very excited for him, and you'll probably see me posting on social media for it. Very, very happy for him. And now, of course, I wanted to say I am going to have Chance on next Monday, so that's my due date for this book. Next Monday, at some point I gotta double check and 99% sure we're going to be set for Monday. And the 23rd, I believe, is what it is. And I'm very, very excited to actually get to talk to Chance about his book again. It's honestly, I'm very much enjoying this. It did take me a little bit, I admit. I was still in a reading slump, but as of about a couple hours ago, I started picking up the book again, and I started getting into the groove, and I started feeling the motions, and now I'm very happy with it. I'm very much enjoying it to the point where it's like, yeah, fantastic stuff. I'm having a great time, and I also think that what was kind of getting in the way of me with the first book is me trying to understand a lot what was going on with the magic. I gave up. I admit it. I gave up, and I'm not completely. I still want to know what's going on, but I'm kind of like going with the flow here. I want to see what's happening with these characters. There are cool things going on. There are interesting things going on. Interesting dynamics that are being brought to the forefront, and I care more about the characters and how they're interacting and what the magic is making them do that than anything else. I don't really need to know how it's working in the fine details. I'm just kind of going with the flow, and I'm enjoying it so much to the point where it's like, who cares? I'm just gonna keep going with it. So, thank you. And also, I would also like to say, thank you so much, Chance, for giving me a physical arc. I know that this is money out of your pocket, but I am very, very grateful, and this is another one that I will treasure for the rest of my days. And as you can tell, it will be right beside Mercy Illa's. Oh my god. I keep doing this. I keep saying Mercy Ill is the Fate is Mercy Tears of the Fallen, and then Mercy Tears of the Fallen is Mercy Ill is the Fate. So book 1 is book 2, and then book 2 is book 1. That's not how that works. But Ill is the Fate will be right beside Tears of the Fallen on the back of my shelf for the rest of my days. Or, well, I'm not gonna make that promise, because this shelf does like to change a lot. I like to change it a lot. I like to move stuff a lot. But I will make sure, no matter what, it will always be very visible. That is just how I gotta do it, because I'm very grateful for this. Alright, and that's all I have to say on Ill is the Fate. And I've talked about that. And then, of course, I reread a little bit of Kagurabachi. I'm not going to talk too much on Kagurabachi because I talked about it last week. Or last time. But, again, still fantastic story. I am in love with this cast of characters. Chihiro is just so interesting, and everything going on around his character is just, I'm loving it. And of course, I'm also reading it weekly, which, we're on break this week. Oh, weekly breaks. Oh. Like, I get it, because, like, I could tell towards the end of the first part that I reached, which was, like, chapter 100 or so, or, like, chapter 90, 95, something like that, around those chapters, I could tell that, like, Hokazuno, I believe is his name, is that right? Hokazono. He was starting to, like, overwork himself. I could tell just from the illustrations were, like, starting to melt apart. I was like, oh god, he must be really overworking himself. And I know the manga industry is very, very harsh and horribly brutal on the mangaka's actual, like, physical health. So I understand the need for a break. It's still painful. Anyways, I am loving Kagurabachi. Really, really enjoying it. So, that's about all I have to say. Now, what am I going to be reading next? It's a fantastic question, my dear viewer. One I don't really know the answer to right now. Because I said at the start of the year I wanted to go more with the flow. I wanted to go where I'm being called to. And I mean that. But at the same time, there are series I want to read. And as much as I have certain things I want to read, I also kind of want to go back and reread some stuff. But I also want to go read the next thing. So I'm kind of split. I've been really dying to do this for a while. And that is read reread Words of Radiance in the leather-bound editions that I got, and oh, I'm super excited to do that because I will do it, but I haven't done it yet. And but the other thing is, I really want to read To Green Angel Tower, and I also really want to read one Assalian book a month. So I don't know. I really don't know. Now, I'm thinking, honestly, as much as I love Assalian Saga, I think I'm probably pushing back City of Night. So that leaves To Green Angel Tower and Words of Radiance. And what really it comes down to is, what am I going to be called to? And I'm thinking it's probably going to be To Green Angel Tower. And... But the problem is, like, I want to do something light, but To Green Angel Tower is not light. Like, I know I'm going to love To Green Angel Tower, but To Green Angel Tower is not light. Like, I'm going to read this book, and I'm going to have to invest myself in it. Which is not a bad thing, by the way. I'm going to love every bit of it. But at the same time, I kind of want to take a break, kick my feet up, and go reread one of my favorite books of all time, and that is Words of Radiance. I mean, I love this book. And not only that, this is a version of the book with the most gorgeous art. And yes, I did try to take it out and then just fail. But it has some of the most gorgeous art in it that I love it to bits. And getting to reread it would be a very deep pleasure for me. And you might be thinking, Alex, you're going to go take a break from other books, from dense books, by reading 1,000 or a 1,200 page behemoth like Words of Radiance? The answer is yes, because and in all fairness, that is a valid question. But the thing is, I think Words of Radiance is so easy to read that it outweighs the fact that it's 1,200 pages. People say, "Oh my God, it's 1,200 pages. That's so long." And if I'm being honest, I don't think it is. Not if it's Brandon Sanderson 1,200 pages. If it's Tad Williams 1,200 pages, or God forbid, Janny Wirtz 1,200 pages, then you gotta then quicken your boots. Then be scared, because you should be. What? Like, if you read all of The Lord of the Rings, yeah, be scared, be quaking in your boots, because you know what? Tolkien's gonna make you work for those 1,200 pages. It's not that they're bad, it's not that there's anything bad about them. It's just that they're difficult. They're more difficult than Brandon Sanderson, and I think he'd be the first to tell you that. I can pick up a Brandon Sanderson book and read him any day of the week, and I know I will be invested very quickly, because he's just a very light read. No matter what I read from him, he's very light. No matter what I'm going to pick up from Janny Wirtz, it's not going to be a light read. If I want to pick up Janny Wirtz, it's going to be something that's going to push me to my absolute limit, that's going to drag me through the mud, and say, "Hey, did you think you knew English? Ha, no you didn't!" And then it's going to drag me into the back of the Muppets closet and say, "No, you didn't know English, now learn English!" But my point remains, I'm kind of split, so I'm telling you this so that you can be surprised with whatever choice I make. I'm gonna make a choice eventually. Honestly, here's the most likely thing that's gonna happen. I'll probably read To Green Angel Tower. If I think I'm falling off it, then I won't read To Green Angel Tower, and I'm just gonna jump straight into Words of Radiance and then read that. And you're probably thinking, "Oh, but Alex, that'll take like 10, 12 days. Are you joking? 10, 12 days for this thing? No. Not for Words of Radiance. Trust me. What's going to happen is, if I pick up Words of Radiance, it will be the only thing I read for us. Not the only thing I read, the only thing I do. I mean, last time I read Words of Radiance, I was on a trip. And yeah, I had the entire day off for like 5 days, but I mean, I just kind of read a little bit of it, and I said, I'm going to read 100 pages a day. Logical, very reasonable. No, I didn't read 100 pages a day. There was one day where I read 500 pages, or maybe not 500, like 400 pages, 400 pages. And it's like, okay, what are you doing? And then, like, I finished it in, like, 4 days. Yeah, no, I finished Words of Radiance like that. Sanderson's not hard, especially when you read Janny Wirtz and you go, hey, I understand English a lot better now. You're nothing to me. But anyways, tell me, have you read any of the books that I have talked about here? Have I convinced you to read Kubera? Have you read Kubera? Are you going to read any of the books that I've talked about here? Would you like to read any of them? Have you read any of them? I don't know if I just repeated myself. Please tell me your thoughts if you have read them. Please tell me what you guys are reading right now. I'd love to hear it. I love to talk to you guys. And that's about all I got for today. So I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will see you all next time.